Good afternoon and welcome to another episode of Mr. Piggy Talks. Well, today's a special episode because I was asked, or indeed I'm asked many times by fellow modelers, what is my favourite Airfix kit? It's actually a really difficult question to answer, probably impossible, but I can certainly say within the top 10 would be this beauty. The Airfix kit of HMS Leander in 1/600th scale, Series 1. Now this is an absolute beauty, an absolute delight, I dare I say. It builds into a really first class representation or model, scale model of the real thing. Now, as with most of these videos, what we're going to try and do is link together the actual Airfix kit itself, the model, a brief outline of its history of the subject that it's actually about, and also today we're going to link it to TV. Yes, TV, because believe it or not, this little fella was actually the subject of a really quite exciting and very popular BBC TV series in the 1970s, and here is the DVD of it, Warship. Now, if you're of my vintage or thereabouts, you'll certainly remember this as a very popular BBC One drama series which used to come on about the officers and men of, albeit a fictionally named HMS Hero F42. Now, of course, there was no HMS Hero that was a Leander class frigate, but it was actually a real Royal Navy frigate that was used with various frigates that were used for filming purposes at Portsmouth and Devonport Dockyard in Plymouth, but it was basically about the Leander class frigate. Now, there were 26 Leander class frigates built over a 10-year period, and they became the backbone, the mainstay of the Royal Navy escort force at the height of the Cold War, and indeed for a few years beyond. So they were very much a part of the Royal Navy escort force. They were a general purpose frigate. They were called Type 12M, M for modified, based upon the earlier very successful Rothsay class, of which 9 were built, and they too were based on an earlier Type 12 design, which was called the Whitby class. So it had a long pedigree. The Leander class was a truly general purpose design, so it had the capability to engage in surface warfare, anti-submarine warfare, and also anti-aircraft war. Had limited capability to have a guided missile, of a Seacat guided missile launcher, so it could do quite a lot of things. It had a very advanced radar system, sonar, and it was one of the first Royal Navy ships to be designed from the outset to carry its own, i.e. with a hangar, on-board helicopter. In this case, it was in the early days the Westland Wasp helicopter, a derivative of the Scout, and in later years it carried the much more capable and extremely fast and advanced Western Lynx helicopter. So these ships served in all theatres. They did a lot of things. They fought in wars. They fought in the Falklands War with great distinction, suffering sort of casualties and damage as a result of battle. But they were also involved in less hot wars, if those of you can remember the Cod War with Iceland, where these Royal Navy frigates were going head to head with Icelandic gunboats protecting our fishing fleet. So they've got a very long history. And Airfix, of course, latched on to the popularity of this ship design with their own kit. Now this is a 1981 incarnation of it. It's got that telltale slightly later logo. This is either just before or just after when Airfix sadly went bust and were bought up by Palitoy, as we mentioned in our last episode. So, but this is a visual little kit. It's got a wonderful Airfix artwork, as you can see. I'm not sure if that's a Roy Cross or not. I'd be very much welcome those of you to make comments or write in and say if that is a Roy Cross. I'm not sure. That's a question for today. And the box art is a delight. And of course, as you open the box, so here is the decal sheet, or transfers, whatever you want to call them, but modders call them decals, for the kit. And you can see there are pennant numbers included for 4 different Royal Navy ships that were Leander class, early Leanders, and they're also quite nicely the deck markings for the individual warships with their code letters as well. There are code letters, 2 code letters to indicate to any landing helicopter which ship they were landing on, obviously. So that's very nice. You've also got the Airfix Magazine Modelers Club leaflet as to where you can subscribe for those if you so wish. And here, of course, is the very nice indeed instruction leaflet, where we will all remember there is a certain potted history of the kit. Gives you a little description of the subject of the kit, rather. These are all great fun when you were a kid, because you actually could, in a space of a paragraph or 2 paragraphs, you could learn a lot of history, lots of data as well about the ship as well. And this one, of course, does mention the TV series that I described earlier, featured as HMS Hero in the BBC TV series Warship. So there is a link there to the TV production. I won't go through individual sprues or the parts themselves, because we simply don't have the time to do that, basically. But very nice kit. To give you an idea of the size of it, there's a 1/2 of the hull, quite nice size, and there's the other half in there, and lots of very nice, crisply detailed parts. Bearing in mind the age of this kit, it actually is very good indeed. It's a very credible effort on the part of Airfix with this individual model. So there is the actual kit itself. As I said, it's a fairly popular model. It's been in and out of the Airfix range and catalogues over the previous decades. Sadly not in recent years. I think this is the most recent example. This is a very nice set that Airfix did in 2007, celebrating commemorating the 25th anniversary of the Falklands Wars. You can see these are Falklands warships, and you get 3 kits in the one box here. You got a Amazon or Type 21 class frigate, you've got a County class destroyer, and right in the foreground there, pride of place as you might expect, is the good old Leander there. And it's a nice selection inside, very detailed instruction booklet this time for all 3 of those models. All the same scale, I should say, 1/600 the scale warship scale, which is pretty unique to Airfix, really, 1/600. But it worked very well, and you get instructions and painting guides for all of the 3 warships. Of course, in this particular film, we're only interested in the Leander class kit, which here she is, in a slightly different shade of Airfix grey, battleship grey plastic, and this particular edition has some extra parts. So Airfix, I believe in the late 90s, decided to sort of, well, update these a little bit, and gave each of those kits had extra parts, 4 of them, which are the Exocet missile launchers. You can't see them at all really here, they're too small, but it gave you the opportunity to convert your Leander into the Exocet refit examples, of which there are many. In many of these Leander class, the 4.5-inch twin gun turret was removed and replaced with missile launchers. These particular ones here are in fact Exocet missiles. Very famous, everyone remembers the Exocet from the Falklands War. Very effective system it was too. And of course there was another batch of Leanders, the batch 1s were all converted to carry the Ikara Australian anti-submarine warfare missile torpedo launcher. There was basically a torpedo was bolted onto the underside of a sort of missile, and it was basically gave it a bit more range. It was lobbed at some distance from the warship onto the target submarine, hopefully. So that gives you the, if you like, a flavour. That now, any of you of these you've got this at home, hang on to it, because this is also very rare and very, very collectible. If you've got one of these, hang on to it. Don't start any of the kits inside. Keep it pristine, or as pristine as you can, and it will be a prized and very valuable item of any Airfix collector's collection. So there we have it. I also have here, well, I should mention it whilst I'm here, we're still on the subject of Leanders. We're going to have a series of videos. This is very small. I'm not sure whether you were to pick this one up that easy. My fingers and thumbs are in the way. But there is a Albatross models. They're sort of lead, but not quite lead. They're sort of alloy based, and they're metal models. 1250 scale, 11250, 1250 scale warships, and they're very, very finely made. They're very popular to buy. That's an early example from Albatross, and it's a gun-armed Leander. It doesn't actually say which particular Leander it is, but I'm pretty certain that's an early example there. And again, very popular. Those can be used for wargaming. In fact, you could use these for wargaming if got a big enough floor area, of course, because they are rather large when they're built up. So that's basically the Airfix Leander kit. Very, very popular. Linked to a TV series that in its turn was very, very popular. This was done from 1973 to 1977. It came on BBC One primetime viewing. Difficult to believe that. I don't even think they would do it these days. But you had the wonderful Commander Niles, you can see him there, and Lieutenant Commander Beaumont, the first lieutenant of HMS Hero. And what a jolly and dutiful team they were, and loyal and true to Her Majesty and the men who served under them. So it's a really, really good series. Also, you can get this on YouTube. I bought the DVDs some time ago, but now they're so very readily available and very popular too. And it's sort of quite charming viewing. I recommend those if you get a chance. So I think I probably exhausted you and the material I was going to describe today. Thank you very much for watching. I should also say, you know, you can get plenty of guidebooks about the Royal Navy. These list various classes. This is 1987. Paul Beaver. Paul Beaver is a very prominent defence writer, not just warships, aircraft, and all sorts of other stuff too. Tanks and things. In fact, he's still writing books now. This is nearly 40 years after that was done in 1987. So he's a very, very popular author, and in fact produced a book last year, which I got myself anyway. So that's a I got at a charity shop. You can pick these things up quite readily. So I'd recommend, if you want to find out more about the Leanders, a little guidebook like that will tell you a whole host of information. As I said, there were 26 Leanders, by far and away the most numerous and successful of the Royal Navy destroyer, frigates, escort classes that were built post World War II, exported to various countries. The Netherlands had them, Chile had them, the New Zealand Navy, Australian Navy, the Indian Navy. It was a very, very successful design, and you know, served for many, many decades across the globe, and you know, real groundbreaking class of warship. So there we go. Anyway, enough of that for today. I wish you all a good evening, and many thanks for watching, and hopefully we'll pick up again very soon. Many thanks. Bye bye.